You are listening to The Plot with a Twist, where we discuss all things books and booze. We are your bookish hosts, Alora, and
Ro.
if you like what you hear, please like, share, subscribe, and give us a quick review on your podcast app or YouTube. It helps us become more visible to other bibliomaniacs. We publish bookish episodes each week on Wednesdays, so be sure to stay tuned for discussions and attitudes that are lit.
Rebecca Nightingale learnt everything she knows from her father. She has his intelligence, his curiosity, and followed in his footsteps, becoming a coroner. However, this is London, 1888, with its dark alleyways, mist off the Thames, fog, Whitechapel, and murders. Rebecca is left reeling after her father joins the list of people killed by a madman, and she finds out that not all is as it seems. Not only with her father, but certainly not in her city. Rebecca is thrown into the underbelly of London. She not only needs to find the killer stalking the streets at night, but figure out the mysteries her father left in his wake. Dreadful Desires is the first book in the Monsters of Whitechapel series. This book has it all: murder, mystery, and malevolence. Grab a drink and join us as we talk all things monstrous with the author herself, Lucy Lark.
Lucy, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Alrighty, are we going to get started?
We're going to get right into it.
Let's go.
Okay, so we are talking about Dreadful Desires, which is this beautiful book.
And I love that cover, by the way.
And this one, we're full of art here. I love it. Where did the idea for Dreadful Desires come from?
Sure. So I've spent quite a lot of time in London. I've done several trips. My granddad was from there. My family's English. And I'm obsessed with London and I'm obsessed with Jack the Ripper. And we went on a trip over and we went to the Natural History Museum in London. And I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of it. You should definitely Google it. It's the most stunning building you have ever seen. And they've got this massive, like big, great hall where they've got a skeleton of a blue whale suspended above this hall, and it's all this Gothic architecture, and you just walk in and it's just breathtaking. And as soon as I walked into that building, this idea just came to me, and I'm like, she has to be some kind of scientist, and I just could not stop thinking about it. And I think I drafted the first 2 chapters of this book on the train from London over to Paris. So
yeah. Wow.
Oh wow.
Notebook, yeah, of all things. So yeah, that's where the idea came from.
All right. Well, you just said that you're a massive Jack the Ripper fan. So I take it that's what led you to incorporate Whitechapel and Jack the Ripper into the book, because that is an integral part of it.
Yeah, and I think for me, that case itself is so steeped in mystery, and it's one of those mysteries that we'll never know, basically. And I think that we'll never know who the killer was, and we'll never know how many victims he truly had either, which is really sad, but very fascinating. I love true crime. I'm a real nut for it. So I've always just been fascinated. And I guess then flowing on from that, because it happened in the Victorian era, I love Victorian history and I love that whole period of time. And I was like, well, how can I make this into something different and unique? And I guess that's where that sort of came from.
You did that with the book.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good thing or not, but we'll go with it.
Well, it's a great thing. I loved it.
There are so many characters from many classic stories that you have reimagined for this book. How did you pick which characters you wanted to use?
So I guess it was easy because I wanted, in a way, because I wanted to go with characters that would fit the time period and that maybe even had traditionally been written in that time period. So we're talking, Dorian Gray, Frankenstein's monster, Jekyll and Hyde. They all sort of fit that period, which worked really well for me because I could just go, I'll take you and you. The first book, Dreadful Desires, revolves around a character called Rory, who is a werewolf. So he's the main love interest per se. The heroine, Rebecca, she does have relations with multiple men in each book, but his is the emotional arc, if you will. So I wanted to give her something that would ease her in, I feel if I had gone with my ideas of the traditional literary characters that I've borrowed, she would have run away screaming because some of them are quite terrifying.
I'll give her Sweeney.
He's one of my faves, actually. I think Rory is that softer protector wanting to make it okay for her but not knowing how, and I think that was a really good gateway to bring her into it all because she's got a lot going on. She loses her dad a bit of a spoiler, loses her dad very early on in the piece, and then she's got to try and hold it together for her brother who's a bit hopeless. Yeah, I think that for me, bringing Rory in was integral.
Yeah, when you say easing her in with the spice, that was not easing. I was like, oh,
it was
my God.
It was great. I'm going to say it was great.
Let me preface this by saying I have never read a monster smut book before. Okay. So I was like,
fire, then great.
Excuse me, what?
Baptism by fire. So she messaged me and she goes, I'm reading Monster Smut and I didn't know I was going to. And then I got to the parts she was talking about and I was just, like, I loved those bits and I was just in hysterics because I could just picture her going, what am I reading?
Don't warn her. I am so sorry, Alora.
No, do not apologize.
Don't apologize. It was great.
I enjoyed it. And I loved that you were anatomically accurate with canine physiology. Because I was like, I know exactly what that means.
Oh no!
I got there and I just started laughing. Like I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh my God, Alora would have been like, what?
I was like, oh my God.
And because you had to figure out, like, I don't know about Alora, but I was going through the book going, okay, Rory's definitely a werewolf. Dorian Gray, I'm going to go with he's the damn soul. And then Nikolai was obvious, he's the vampire. And then I was like, with Hugh, I was like, oh my God, he's Jekyll. That's awesome. And it was Sweeney. I'm sitting at Sweeney going, what are you? And then I said to Alora, he's got to be a demon. He has to be a demon. And then we met Gideon, which was Frankenstein's monster, before found out what Sweeney was. And I was like, and then, his scene came up and I was like, no.
Yeah. Oh, I love Gideon. He just breaks my heart.
He's gorgeous.
He gets, he gets progressively more going and whatnot as the series progresses. So he has a very, very interesting storyline. But Sweeney, so Sweeney Todd, the demon bub of Fleet Street, right? So he's like a
Sweeney Todd. I was like, it's Sweeney Todd.
So he's basically a cannibalistic demon. There you go.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that.
Present.
Oh my God.
Shut up, you. All right. Your writing throughout the book kept very close to the time period that you set it in. Did you find it hard? I don't know if Alora was the same, but going through the book, there was even words I had to Google. I was like, which is kind of good, right? Because we read so much. So
it's always a good thing learning new words. I think for me, I love that time period. I watch a lot of movies. I've read a lot of fiction and non-fiction. I've read just about every non-fiction book about Jack the Ripper I can get my hands on. I also read a Regency romance. I'm a huge Jane Austen fan, and I guess that whole vernacular sort of helped inform the way the characters speak, because it wasn't so much further in history that whole thing unfolded. So for me, it wasn't hard to write them. The timeline wasn't difficult. What I've basically done is taken actual factual moments and then built everything around that.
Yeah.
I took all the dates that I wanted to use. Then I took when was the full moon, and I put that into the calendar so I would know when those things are happening. And I've done that across the whole series. So I already know within reason what's going to happen across each book, because it's built into the discovery of different bodies or different things in history taking place. So yeah, that part was really fun. And the language, I just love the language. I love that horse, I'm going to say it without really saying it type thing.
Yes. We do that in the South in America with Bless Your Heart.
Bless your heart.
Exactly. So interestingly enough, under my other pen name, Louisa West, I write paranormal women's fiction and cozy mysteries, and they're all set in the South. They're all in Georgia, and I'm very in that zone with them. Yeah.
Yes, passive aggressiveness at its finest.
Look, should be an Olympic sport, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah, for real. Is the FMC Rebecca Nightingale at all based off of Florence Nightingale?
That's a good question. Yes and no, so a little bit, because I think I think when people think Florence Nightingale, you think of this woman who was very strong and very forthright, but also had that softness and that care to her. Rebecca is very interesting because she didn't start out as wanting to be a coroner. So in my original idea, because I all came from the Natural History Museum, Rebecca was going to be a biologist and her dad was going to be a famous biologist, and that's how it all was going to come about. And she was going to be working at the Natural History Museum. But I decided that because I wanted to have her insert herself into the Ripper investigation, I needed a stronger sort of call for her. And then that's how it came about that she was a coroner. And I've always been fascinated by that. And I think in another life, I might have been a coroner myself. So I'm really fascinated by all of that kind of gory, gross stuff. But no, not super based on Florence, but there is a hint of her there for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think with the surname, I was like, I wonder if there's a connection there.
Yeah, I thought that too.
All right, so on Rebecca, she is quite a strong FMC and she embraces her sexuality. Is that a direction that you always wanted to take her? So when I first started reading the book, I was she's kind of, I wouldn't say prudish, but she was very much a typical woman for the time where it was all save yourself for marriage and love and all that kind of stuff. And then Dorian Gray gets his hands on her and I was like, whoa, hello.
Yeah.
Gray got his hands on all of us.
Oh, yeah, he did.
See, that's another interesting twist because in the Victorian period, you're looking at a time, like you say, women were very repressed in all aspects of their lives. And then you had a thing, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the film Hysteria. Have you ever seen that movie? It's got Hugh Dancy and, oh my gosh, Maggie Gyllenhaal, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's basically set in that time, and she's a suffragette, so she's very much pushing for women's rights, and he's a doctor who ends up working, I think, for her father. And her father is a very well-renowned women's specialist, shall we say, is when we see the invention of a vibrator. And the vibrator was created to stimulate women to the point of to release the tension from their uteruses because their uteruses were so overwrought that they couldn't concentrate and couldn't function and couldn't do anything that their husbands needed to do.
It was called Hysteria. Did you not know?
No, I'm just, this is putting a dagger in my feminism here because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The tension in my uterus? What about the tension in your balls?
Been taught how to pleasure their wives, and those doctors wouldn't have been necessary, and we never would have received vibrators.
Yeah, we wouldn't have got the vibrator, man.
So, but that's the whole thing. And I think for Rebecca, she does start out very much unaware of that type of thing. And then when she does have that experience with Dorian, which is quite an experience, it awakens her and she realizes that she does have needs and she does have desires. And that's part of the whole thing of it being dreadful desires. She shouldn't want to do that because she should be a good Victorian woman who stays in her box. But really, deep down, she does. And then it's about, well, how can she reconcile that and what happened with Dorian to how she feels internally for Rory? And then how does that then translate to having a physical relationship with Rory and Dorian
and why choose? All right. Was writing monster smut something you thought you'd ever write? And was it easy to do?
I never, ever thought that I would do that, ever. But it was so much fun because there's no rules. There's no this should be this or this should be that because they're monsters. So you can just make up whatever you want. Like Sweeney has a very unique talent.
I'd say so.
It's an amazing talent and I want one.
But that literally just came to me in the moment and I hadn't read anything. I think at the time I had been reading books that were talking, and everyone, I think on Twitter or wherever it was at the time, or even TikTok, were talking about like tentacle porn or whatever it was. And I was like, tentacles, how can I take that but make it different, right? So like there's so many opportunities there to be really creative and think of things that have not been done in a way that really adds to your story, I think. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about writing The Monster Smut. I never thought I would do it. I always thought that I was more of a purist than that. And really it just turns out that I'm a dirty bitch. So there you go.
Me too. Laura finished it before I did. And then I got to her and Rory, and I got to the shifted part with her and Rory, and I was like, oh, Laura. And then I got to Sweeney, and I was like, oh, we've got tentacles, we've got extra bits, extra length, and a tail. Oh my God.
And and what his tail does, my God, if we could do that, we wouldn't need men.
I loved every minute of it, right? I was sitting there reading it going, this is just amazing. Because of the fact that, yes, with Monster Smut, you have so much license. It's so much creativity that you can pull into it. But at the same time, I was like, Laura would have been just like, oh my God, it's tentacles. Oh my God.
No, it was completely fine. I really did enjoy it. But I do have to say, during that particular scene, I was like, oh, what? But it was enjoyable.
Yeah. And then
you recorded your face.
You should have.
I should have, because my face was literally like,
love it.
I was just like, yeah. As soon as his tail came out, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
I was. I'm a dirty bitch too.
The whole thing with Sweeney where it's like, was he really there? Did that actually happen? Or was that in my dream that? And then he sort of looks at her and she's like, did you? Were you? So she still questions it, and he sort of plays on that a lot too, I think.
I think when the part was coming up where Rory was like, yep, all right, you can go and watch it tonight, Sweeney. Because I read it on the Kindle. I think my note was, oh, you better run, girl. Can't wait.
Meanwhile, Dorian's like, really? You're letting him go?
Yeah, that's... All right, so clearly there are more monsters that Rebecca has bonded to. Will we get to find out any more about them in the future books?
Absolutely. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in book 1 you meet Rory, you meet Sweeney, you meet Gideon, you meet Hugh, you meet Dorian, and you meet Jack, obviously.
And Nikolai.
Nikolai.
So there's 3 more.
Oh, and there was the brief.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
There was 2 brief ones. There was a poltergeist, which I assume she's...
Yes.
And then there was the offshoot to Hugh.
You've got Nathaniel.
The Hyde part of the Jekyll and Hyde.
Look, yeah, exactly. But so I actually flipped those a bit as well, because I didn't want to be like Jekyll and Hyde in the traditional sense. And I think I've tried to do that with each of the monsters and take what's known from how they were written originally and try to give it a new sort of lease on life. I'm just actually, don't laugh, I'm making a list of them all now, because I'm like, who are these people and what have I done with them? Oh my goodness. And do you know why? It's like, it's the worst type of ADHD and autism, so they combine, and it's like half of me is really smart and half of me is really dumb, and never the twain shall meet. Like, it's in the middle, right? Oi, oi, oi. Dorian, and we've got Rory, and we've got Nikolai. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we've got Hugh. And who are we missing? I have 9. There are 9 monsters. And I think part of that was I just wanted to fit as many in there as possible.
Okay, so I have a question that we don't have on our run sheet here, but I have a question about her father.
Yes.
So this blood bond
yes.
that is occurring between her and these monsters. Did her father have the same role, or like how? Well, that's what I was questioning. I was like, how does daddy fit in here?
He obviously, he didn't have a sexual relationship with them.
Okay.
I want to study youth science. And that's how Rebecca kind of starts out as well. She's like, well, if I'm going to be putting my life on the line, I need to get something out of this. And you guys are also scientifically fascinating that I can learn a lot about you. And she's also in a position where this is filled with so many spoilers. I'm so sorry to anyone who hasn't read the book and actually wants to. It gets to the point where I'm just going to close my door because my child is ranting, even though I told her I was doing this. It gets to the point where she goes beyond, obviously, that scientific interest and goes, well, I can investigate these guys scientifically in a different way. Obviously, that to her advantage. Her dad, no, he did not have a sexual relationship. He was very much a guardian, I think, of these guys.
Gotcha. I just had that question because I thought to myself, these monsters absolutely want her in a sexual way. So I was like, I wonder if that was the same for her dad or if that was never explored with her dad.
No, and I didn't explore it with her dad because that never really factored in for me. But there is a very deep reason why he did the reason he entered into the blood pact and the reason that they feel so strongly for Rebecca.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, okay, there's more to it.
There's more to it that we don't know yet.
Yep, there sure is, which is just, yeah, it's fun. I can't wait to actually write it all, but books take time and it sucks.
Yes, they do.
Here we go. At least, oh my God, yes.
She's found her list.
Okay, right. So I've got Rory, who's the werewolf. I've got Nikolai, who's the vampire. Nikolai is book 2. And book 2, I can tell you all now, is called Dreadful Delirium, and that's about him. And then we've got Dorian's book, and then we've got Jekyll. And I don't actually think I've given him, I can't remember if I've given him a name or not yet. No, Hugh. Yeah. So Hugh is then Hugh Jekyll. And then we've got Nathaniel, and then Sweeney. And then we've got the Hyde book, and then we've got Gideon, and then Jack is the last book.
Gideon's getting...
Gideon gets his own book.
Frankenstein monster gets his book.
If you enjoyed Dorian and Rebecca, their first encounter,
yes,
thing for Gideon and Rebecca, because you've got
please.
The size difference, and then it's that he talks but he doesn't talk, and he talks more with his hands and his mouth because he was never he's reanimated basically, and then he's kind of mothering but not. So then you've got all these different power play dynamics coming into it, and yeah, I can't wait to write that. I can't wait to write all of them, to be honest. But,
so with that being said, that they're all getting individual sort of books, will we get a scene in any of those where Rebecca experiences all of them at once?
Absolutely.
Yes!
What? No way.
You're so funny. So I do.
That's my question.
Yeah. So I do plan to have scenes where there are multiples, twos, thruples, whatever, building up. And yeah, definitely. It probably won't happen until the last book because I have taken a lot of artistic license and Jack is a member of the Harem. And because they play this cat and mouse game with him pretty much the whole way through the series, at that point that then he can become part of that. Yeah, there definitely will be.
Yay.
The more the merrier. I was like, just bring them all in.
I love it.
All right. So we've spoken a lot about the books and what's in this one. How many are we getting?
So there'll be at least 9, maybe 10 if I decide to write the prequel story about how they all became who they are and how they all came to be in the Blood Pact. There's a whole backstory there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I know that her dad was bonded to them to protect them from whoever this big bad is. And now she's done the same thing to protect them. She gets more perks than he did, as far as I'm concerned. But I was wondering the reasons why, because we didn't get a lot of explanation behind that. I know she's still finding out everything and she's a little bit cranky.
Unfortunately, that's the way, unfortunately, or depending on if you like a slow burn, there will be breadcrumbs that are dropped like throughout the series that give you more and more as she discovers it because she's still trying to uncover that mystery for herself. I can tell you all that her spider, Lady Grey, there's more to her than as well.
Do you know what's funny is you can throw every monster in the book at me, but the first chapter after the prologue where she's like, there's a spider, I was like, oh, come on, man, I hate spiders.
Well, like I'm terrified of spiders as well, and I can't handle them. But I don't know what made me want to write that. But I'm like, no, it has to be a spider. It can't be anything else. It has to be a spider.
She sounds a little bit like bigger than normal sized tarantula things. Those 8-legged freaks.
Have you ever seen a tarantula?
Yes, actually, my dad bought one home in a sealed glass thingy-majiggy. He brought it from America. I have it here in the house. It's all sealed. I can't stand the thing, right? So as in my cousins used to torment me with it. Like they'd pick it up and like in my face and stuff and I'd scream and cry and everything. And he gave it to my kids It's in my house. I've seen it. I hate it. When A Lady Grey was described, I always thought of that, but bigger, because I think at one stage she's talking to Hugh and Lady Grey's on the clock. And the way you described it was like she was basically the whole clock. And I was like, no, no.
She's not, there's more to her than meets the eye. And
Okay.
she's definitely a loyal friend to Rebecca, shall we say,
All right.
without giving too much away.
Okay, so do you have any other current books planned?
For the series?
No,
No, just outside this series.
Yeah. So with Lucy Lark, which is I have two pen names, Lucy Lark and Louisa West. So for Lucy, I'm actually going to be making that into my high heat sort of pen name. So I'm going to do some contemporary romance with her as well. I have a series planned that I'd like to be releasing mid next year, which I can't talk about too much yet because I'm still developing it. But it's contemporary, it's high heat. The first book is sort of enemies to lovers, which is something that I am obsessed with. So I can't wait to write that. And I've done a lot of the plotting and work that needs to happen there. And then, yeah, I guess I'll see between that then and the series, the Dreadful series, I like to try and finish stuff. So I'd like to try and churn those out and get them done so that they're out there and everyone who wants to read them can.
Nice. All right. So what about you as a writer? Why did you decide to become a writer?
I always have written stories ever since I was a little kid. I think I used to, when I was in primary school, I was obsessed with Goosebumps books. Did you guys ever read those?
Yes.
My whole class was obsessed, and we used to get them from the library or buy them and swap them and all this kind of stuff. And then I think it was probably like year 4 or 5, and I was like, I could write one of those. So I had to go and I wrote my own Goosebumps-esque story, and my teacher read it out to the class and shared it with the class. And then I had all of my school friends saying, when are you going to write another one? When are you going to write another one? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should. And I guess I've always loved it, but with most creative sort of careers, it's always like a pipe dream career, right? You're like, oh well, that'd be great, except it's not going to earn me enough money, it's not stable, it's not a real job. I think the perception is out there. So I always had dabbled, and I've written things here and there. And then when the pandemic hit in 2020, I was working for a big company, an engineering company in Perth, doing marketing and PR. That's my background. And basically I got made redundant because they were trying to offload people so they wouldn't have to pay them to work from home during the pandemic. Lovely people that they were. I had no income, I had nothing to do, and I was like, well, I always said that if I could write full time, I'd smash it, and now I don't really have any excuse not to because I don't have anything else to do. So I wrote my first book for my other pen name in my Mosswood series, which is called New Witch on the Block, and I published it. And then 3 months later, I published book 2, and 3 months later after that, I published book 3. And I never looked back. I just decided that was it. It did really well. It's still my best-selling series. I went full-time as an author from there, and yeah, the rest is history. So I've been writing full-time since 2020, April 2020.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So on that note, what is your personal writing process? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's quite chaotic. As is everything else in my life. I'd love to say that I sit down at 8 and I write till 12. That's not true. I tend to work best when I've got a deadline, and I've learned since getting diagnosed with ADHD that is just how a lot of people that are neurodivergent work. They need that deadline, and they need to have 5 hours until deadline and you'll finish the book type deal. The same in uni. I would leave all of my exams and cram the night before or do my assignments the night before. It just is a real pattern for me. I like to try and plan a bit better now that I'm aware of that, but I tend to sit down and write in long periods. I use writing sprints. So I'll do like a 25-minute writing sprint and then have a 5-minute break, and I'll do maybe 8 or 10 of those when I'm in the zone. And then, yeah, I write my first draft and then I have a read through, and then I send that off to my editor. She sends me back her stuff and I pretty it up. And yeah, I'm kind of an annoying writer. A lot of my friends hate me because I only write really one draft, and then I make that pretty, and then that's the book. Like, I don't write 5, 6, 7 drafts. I just, honestly, that would make me really depressed. I can't look at it that many times. I'd end up ruining it. I'd pick it, and it would end up being
I get that. I reckon that if I wrote a book, I reckon that'd be me. If I sat there and looked at it too long, I'd be like, I don't like that bit. Now I don't like that bit. Like I do that already with the run sheets and all the intros that I write. I sit there and I go, I hate that. And then all of a sudden I'll just delete the whole thing.
Yeah, and I was the same in my uni exams. Like I'd walk into a 4 or 5 hour exam, finish in 2 hours, and walk out, and everyone would go, "Oh my gosh, you just couldn't do it." I'm like, "No, that's just how my brain works. If I start fiddling, I will make it worse."
Got ya. Yeah.
Fair. All right. As an author that you are, do you read a lot of books? And if you do, what books do you read? What's your go-to?
Well, this is the weird thing, right? So I do read quite a bit. I'm quite a slow reader. I like to really absorb what I'm reading, and I'll read a chapter and then sort of need a day to think about it and immerse myself and think about how it played out and how it could have played out differently. I really overanalyze pretty much everything. I read more true crime than anything. I've read a lot of books by John Douglas, who was one of the guys responsible for creating the behavioral sciences unit at the FBI.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Others, and he writes a lot about the cases that he experienced throughout his career and different killers that he had interviewed. If you've ever seen the TV show Mindhunter,
Love it.
Yeah.
that was him. So he was like the Bill Tench, right? That was him. It's really fascinating, and the psychology behind why people do those kind of things, and can they avoid it or can they not? Is it really nature versus nurture, and all of that stuff comes into play. So I read a lot of true crime. I like to read a lot of books by my friends so that I'm supporting them as authors as well. And then when we get together, I can talk to them about their books. I think, like I said before, Jane Austen. I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. I've read all of her stuff, Bronte. I love classic literature. Yeah, I read all over the place, really. At the moment, let me have a look. What's on my Kindle at the moment? I can't even remember. It's been that kind of day.
Yes. What's on your Kindle at the moment?
That's a good question for authors. What's on your Kindle at the moment?
Add it to your list.
Yes.
So,
definitely.
I'm reading 6 books at once. So I've got Dark Lover by J.R. Ward, which is the first of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series.
Oh my God, yes! I read all of those and I'm this close to getting passion flicks.
Okay, yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, is this going to be worth it? I'm also reading Sprinkles and Sea Serpents, which is a paracozy mystery by Danielle Garrett. I'm reading Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniska, because I can't help myself.
Love that book.
It's so good, and I can really see a lot of parallels between that and Dreadful Desires, actually.
So did I when I read your book.
And it's like, oh wow, that's so weird, because I had not read it before, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I'm halfway through reading Icebreaker, and that's for, shall we say?
Oh, I wouldn't bother. Oh, but anyways.
Ro didn't love it.
I didn't love it. Look, I love Nate. I will wholeheartedly admit I love Nate. Darcy can jam it, as far as I'm concerned.
I have to agree. I don't think she's very likable at all.
Yay!
That is part of the reason why I wanted to read it, because I had heard that. And so the other project that I'm working on for my Lucy Lark pen name, my main female character is sort of neurotic, and she suffers from anxiety. And she's a little bit unlikable in that she's very type A, very much her way or the highway. And I'm like, well, I've heard this feedback about this book, so I need to read what it's all about. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to make it like her. So yeah, that's that. And the last one that I finished reading was The Surgeon by Tess Gerritsen. So that's like a thriller.
Oh, nice.
Really weird and wild, crazy Kindle.
And I've got one last question for you. What do you love most about being an indie author?
Ooh, I love being able to control my own journey. I think if I were to go with a publisher, I would hate. I know how to take direction. I know how to change stuff. I know things about writing to market, and that, sometimes you need to, it sounds terrible, but sometimes you just need to write to sell, right? Because this is my job and that's why I do it. I love doing it and I enjoy what I write, but I also need to make money because I have bills. So I'm very realistic about that. But I think if I was writing for a publisher, that would then become someone dictating to me how to write, and it would cramp my creative style, I think. Like, I do my own covers, so I wouldn't like to be told what my cover, if they came back to me with a crap cover, I would take that really to heart. That would kill my creativity, I think. I'd just be like, I can't.
You'd be like, oh.
I do know that you do your own covers, because I know that Julie Weaver, who's a friend of yours and who I did my assistant little gig at it, Babe, was like, I sent the cover of her next book off to Louisa because she was like, she can do all this stuff. And she was like, here, I'm going to send you a copy of this. And I was like, well, I like it. She's like, yeah, Louisa liked it too. I was like, yes.
I keep telling her she discounts herself too quickly. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't be a good fit for a pub. I would probably drive them crazy too. Fair. Like, not a good fit either way, I don't think. I like being in control too much, and I like being able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, without answering to anybody except my readers. Yeah.
That's fair. If you need any like beta readers or anything, I will read the hell out of that 9-10 way scene. I'm there.
I have questions for you, but they're probably not fit for the podcast.
I'm more than happy to sit down and talk monster smut.
I love it. That's awesome.
I can't do it with Laura because she's not read any.
Hey, yes, I have.
Oh, you're right.
Hello.
You did. And I'm very proud of you. She was like, and that's the good thing about it, right? Is I think that I wasn't expecting that I probably should have from the blurb, right? We probably should have.
Let me just say though, for anybody that doesn't read Monster Smut, I think that this is a good introduction.
Oh, thank you.
No, seriously, because because the stuff you read, Ro,
I would have said it was very full on. I would have gone easier than
you talk to me about like alien worlds where there's
Agreed, but Lucy's gone and done shifted werewolf. Like that's like straight in, like let's go.
You know, I have to say, because it will crack you up, I actually have a model of Rory in my office.
Are you serious?
So I had it made because I was going to do them as giveaways for prizes and stuff, and I just never got around to it. So I actually do possess a werewolf in my office.
Oh, that is awesome. You need one of Sweeney.
I'll send you a photo. Your dreams can come true, right?
The message I sent Alora was like, if my husband can pull out a tail and be like, Sweeney, I'd be really happy. I'd be like, how about it, babe?
That's hilarious. Oh, dear. You guys,
yeah.
You okay over there?
I'm a bit feral.
Look, welcome to the club.
I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I wasn't expecting, as I said, I probably should have, but I didn't expect the level of monster smut to come into it. But like the way you wove that story, not just your own story, but Jack the Ripper and all of the other stories that came along with it. So, you know, Frankenstein's monster and everything. Even to the point where she gave Gideon books and it was Treasure Island. And I'm like, oh my God, I have that book. And Black Beauty. I'm like, I have those. I had them when I was really young, but oh my God, I have those. I think it was just woven beautifully. I had a great time reading it. I thought it was awesome.
I'm another huge enthusiast of Jack the Ripper, and I read Stalking Jack years ago. And the difference between this and Stalking Jack is YA. So there's no type of heat in that at all. But I thought this book, Dreadful Desires, I thought was really good, really spicy. And for me, I thought it was a good introduction to Monster Smut because it was done well, but it was also supernatural creatures mostly that already are well known.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, even Sweeney.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed it. That makes my heart so happy.
I loved it.
Yes. And just to let you know, we both have the book, but we also both went and read it on Kindle Unlimited. Like we started with the physical book, but then we went on Kindle Unlimited because I was like, oh, I should do this on Kindle Unlimited so she gets the page reads. So
I did think that, but I also didn't want to ruin the book because it's pretty.
Well, that too. But
I was like, watch me bend it and then I'll be sad.
Spine train your books.
I did.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lucy, for joining us. We had so much fun talking with you about Rebecca and her bonded monsters. And it's that time again where we find the perfect cocktail to go with the amazing book that we've been reading. Today's cocktail is all about that jolly good place called England. It is called the Buckfast Bramble, and it is brought to you by metro.co.uk. And here's what you'll need. 40 mils of gin, 15 mils of buckfast, 20 mils lemon juice, 10 mils of grenadine, and 4 blackberries. In a shaker, combine all the ingredients and shake well. Pour the shaker into a glass over ice and garnish with the blackberries.
Buckfast is a wine. It's an
yeah,
English wine.
I'm reading this going, I have no idea what this is.
Hey, I just copied and pasted that thingo, but I did my research on. Well, actually, my eldest, she's 23, he's a bartender. She was like, "You look," from the kitchen, yells out to me, "Are you looking for an English drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying." And she was like, "Anything with buckfast," and I was like, "Okay."
Good.
That was how that went.
I might make one.
Yeah, it looked really nice. Looked quite nice, actually.
We do all of our cocktail recipes on Instagram posts, so you'll definitely have access to that once we post this episode.
Huge thank you to all the bibliomaniacs out there listening. Please stop by our Instagram page, The Plot with a Twist, and check out the link tree in our bio where you can find links to us across the internet, including all our social media, most recently our YouTube video episodes, website, shop, and Facebook group. Give us a like or a follow so that you can stay up to date with episode releases and product launches from our book merch shop. We appreciate your support from the bottom of our hearts. Every little bit counts. Tune in next week for another all-new bookish episode full of magic, mayhem, and maybe just a little bit of smut. Until then, keep reading.